Looking at Disney's recent releases, it's like watching a bank statement cry. The remakes aren't working, the originals aren't working, and even the ones that look like they're working are barely keeping the lights on, where the magic we once used to know has disappeared. And that only happened because, well, Disney has fired most of its creative staff. Sean Bailey, the guy who oversaw Disney's live-action remakes, including The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, Cruella, and The Little Mermaid, the ones who had some charm, was let go due to the underperformances of recent remakes like Haunted Mansion and Jungle Cruise. Galen Sussman, the longtime Pixar animator and director of Lightyear, was laid off as part of Pixar's reduction of approximately 75 positions. And ironically, that had to happen after the failure of Lightyear. Now Disney is left smothered under a pile of shareholder reports and nostalgia-fueled spreadsheets. Take live-action Mulan, for example. They took out the songs, Mushu the Dragon, and all the fun. The Lion King looked pretty but felt weird, like animals talking without showing real feelings. Pinocchio felt more like a video game than a story. Somewhere in the Disney boardroom, someone probably high-fived over those photorealistic eyes that stared directly into your existential dread. I mean, what were they even thinking? Most remakes are made because they feel safe. People know the names, remember the songs, and studios know they'll make money, even if the movies aren't great. And let's be honest, we made the Lion King remake a $2 billion earner. We deserve the remake hell. Now, if you're wondering whether the execs feel even a pinch of guilt about this creative nosedive, Alan Ng's insider report had someone at Disney allegedly dropping a very professional Fox Walt when asked what Walt Disney himself would think about the company's direction. I mean, that's not a red flag. That's an entire communist parade marching through Fantasyland. Disney's 100th anniversary, the year meant to celebrate its legacy, was also its worst box office year. If irony were a Disney character, it would have burst into song right then and there, probably titled I Dreamed a Dream, and then fired the writers. Disney sold its soul, and then gave every female lead the exact same soul. Once upon a time, not to get all nostalgic, but stay with me, Disney's female characters were a mix of attitude, trauma, and genuinely complex decision-making. Ariel literally gave up her voice to chase her curiosity and, okay, a prince, but let's not unpack that right now. Belle read books to escape small-town ignorance. Jasmine had no time for being auctioned off like royal real estate. Mulan carried an entire war on her back, while also confronting gender expectations and generational pressure. And Esmeralda danced, fought, and judged you with her eyes, and she did it all while surviving a city run by a singing fascist. These women had layers. They were messy. They had bite. You could argue with their choices, and that was the point. But something changed after Tangled. Somewhere between the frying pan gag and the Pinterest-level aesthetic, Disney realized that awkward but adorable was not just likable, it was profitable. And so came the rise of the Adorkable archetype. Anna, Mirabel, Moana, Asha. They're all cut from the same quirky, sanitized cloth. She's clumsy, she's different. She says things like, oops, while being impossibly endearing and slightly chaotic in a way that's never actually inconvenient. It's personality on training wheels. Adorkable isn't a flaw, it's a branding strategy. It's the kind of imperfection that won't scare off merch sales or make audiences uncomfortable. Like, yeah, Mirabel doesn't have powers, but she's so delightfully weird and self-deprecating that it barely registers as an emotional arc. Jared Bush described her as imperfect, weird, and quirky, which sounds like a dating app bio written by ChatGPT. Her journey doesn't really challenge anything. It's just cute chaos until family hugs fix everything. Even Raya, who had the potential to break the mold, is weirdly subdued in her own film. Why? So Sisu the dragon can fill the adorable mess slot. Sisu's basically the genie's spiritual cousin, but with more Tumblr energy. It's like Disney thinks every emotionally heavy moment needs to be cut with quirk, just in case someone in the audience starts feeling too much. It's not that these characters are bad, they're just safe, unoffensive, comfortably weird in the way every brand wants to be on Twitter. And when every heroine is designed to be awkwardly marketable rather than deeply human, it starts to feel less like storytelling and more like someone trying to sell you a Funko Pop with a personality disorder. Disney is trying to make its movies more fair and diverse. That means showing different kinds of people, different races, cultures, and backgrounds. The idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Disney has adapted it as a branding strategy. There's this growing tension between actually representing people and just checking boxes, because when you watch some of these movies, and it kind of feels like they're trying to win an imaginary award for most woke, least risk. Take Asha, for example. The film's heroine was positioned as a new face of Disney's inclusive era, but instead of feeling like a fresh voice, she came across as a repackaged, quirky girl boss template. We've already met, multiple times. Or look at Strange World, a sci-fi adventure that leaned into a multiracial, LGBTQ+ inclusive cast, yet somehow managed to feel emotionally distant. There's a biracial family, and the main character is gay. But the movie didn't make many people feel much. It didn't have a strong bad guy or a story that pulled you in. And there's no bad guy. Disney used to be really good at making villains. Remember Scar or Ursula? They were scary, sneaky, and fun to watch. They made you cheer for the hero even more. You wanted the good guys to win because the bad guys were really bad. But now Disney is removing that aspect as well. Sometimes they twist things around, like in Frozen, where Hans seemed nice, then turned out to be the villain. They did the same with Wish, where sometimes there's no villain at all, like in Strange World or Encanto. The characters just deal with problems, not bad people. When there's no villain, there's no big fight or danger. And when there's no danger, the story feels kind of flat. Without someone to go up against, the hero doesn't have anything to grow from. Also, the message starts to get a little fuzzy. There's no good beats evil. Disney movies used to teach us lessons. They had heart, struggle, and characters who grew through tough times. In Pinocchio, lying led to trouble. In Mulan, she didn't start out strong. She became strong by working hard, facing danger, and fighting for others. But now, a lot of Disney movies tell kids, just love yourself. And that's a nice message, but it's not the whole story. Loving yourself is important, yes, but it's not always easy. And real growth comes from facing hard things, making mistakes, and learning from them. Today's characters often skip that part. They start out special, stay special, and are told the world just needs to accept them as they are. Even people, like speaker and author Jordan Peterson, say modern heroes act like the world owes them something. They don't show much thankfulness, or the kind of kindness that comes from being humble. Instead of learning and becoming better, they just are better from the start. That's not very exciting, and it doesn't feel honest. Disney has traded in morals for slogans. The old stories showed you how to be brave, kind, or wise. Now they just tell you, believe in yourself. You are enough. But that message over and over again starts to sound more like an ad than a story. When a movie becomes the message, instead of having one, it loses its magic. If you agree with my point, press subscribe. If you don't agree with my point, still press subscribe. And let's talk this out in the comments section, okay?